President Trump with an update this morning after Iran proposed a deal to open the Strait of Hormuz if the United States holds off on nuclear negotiations. Talk about a sweetheart deal. Well, the president's not pleased with the offer and believes Iran isn't negotiating in good faith. Last hour, he posted, Iran has just informed us that they are in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they will be able to do, ! Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Wait, did he just say Iran is begging? The same Iran that was threatening the world a week ago is now asking America to please open the strait back up? Hold on, because before you think this is over, there's a number you need to hear. And once you hear it, you'll understand exactly how desperate things have gotten.
I hope that in the aftermath of this conflict, the whole world's eyes have been opened to the threat Iran poses. Again, they want to do with the world with a nuclear weapon what they are doing now with oil. They want to hold the world hostage so they can do whatever they want. That's unacceptable.
And we have new information from a maritime tracking firm that we watch and show you. And you can see dramatically how the U.S. blockade is squeezing Iran's oil industry and therefore the money coming in. Iran could reportedly run out of storage capacity within 12 to 22 days. Daily shipments have fallen to about 567,000 barrels, a massive decline from 1.85 million last month. Production could be cut by 1.5 million barrels a day by mid-May. And that's not just big money on those days. Long range, that means that the wells get shut in because they won't be pumping as much to take the oil out of the ground and put it on ships and keep everything moving. It is an economic disaster for them.
Okay, so now you understand what's actually happening here. This isn't just a war story. This is an economic stranglehold playing out in real time. And Iran's government is panicking behind closed doors. Stick with me. I'm going to break down exactly what this blockade is doing, what Iran is offering, why America is saying no, and what comes next, because this thing is moving fast. So let's start from the top. Iran just floated a deal. The offer on the table was simple. We'll reopen the Strait of Hormuz if you back off on nuclear negotiations. On the surface, that might sound reasonable, but think about what they're actually asking. They want America to stop pushing on the one thing the entire world is most worried about, Iran getting a nuclear weapon. In exchange for reopening a waterway they shouldn't have closed in the first place. Trump looked at that offer and said no, and his reasoning, posted publicly, was that Iran isn't negotiating in good faith, they're stalling. And here's why that call makes sense when you look at the numbers. Iran's oil industry is being quietly strangled. A maritime tracking firm called Kepler has been watching the ships, and what they're seeing is brutal. Daily oil shipments out of Iran have dropped from 1.85 million barrels a month ago down to about 567,000 barrels right now. That's not a dip, that's a collapse, and it's going to get worse. Production cuts of 1.5 million barrels per day are expected by mid-May. And the really damaging part, when you stop pumping oil at that level for long enough, you don't just lose revenue, you shut in the wells. Which means getting production back up after this isn't just a switch you flip. It causes long-term structural damage to Iran's entire oil industry. On top of that, Iran is running out of places to store the oil it can't sell. Analysts are saying they could hit maximum storage capacity within 12 to 22 days. When that happens, they physically cannot keep producing at any meaningful level. The blockade isn't just cutting their income, it's backing them into a corner where they have no room left to maneuver. Inside Iran, the government knows this. Their Supreme National Security Council held an emergency meeting, and what they were worried about wasn't just the economy in abstract terms. They were worried about the people, rising prices, unemployment, damage to the petrochemical and steel industries, and the fear that all of this economic pain could set off another wave of mass protests. The last time Iranians took to the streets in large numbers, the government crushed it with force. But that option gets harder to use when the economic pressure is this widespread and this visible. And that's why Marco Rubio's comments matter here. He's not just talking tough for the cameras. He's laying out the American position clearly. Any deal, any agreement has to permanently and definitively block Iran from ever sprinting toward a nuclear weapon. Not a pause, not a delay, a permanent block. And his read on Iran's negotiating behavior is that they're experienced, they're tactical, and right now they're trying to buy time, not make peace. Meanwhile, the situation around Iran's edges is still on fire. Israel is continuing airstrikes in southern Lebanon, hitting more than 50 Hezbollah sites, weapons manufacturing facilities, storage complexes, including underground bunkers. Hezbollah is still firing rockets and drones back into Israel. And this matters for the Iran negotiations because Hezbollah is Iran's most powerful proxy. As long as that front stays hot, any ceasefire or deal with Iran has another pressure point that could blow everything up at any moment. So here's where things actually stand right now. Iran is economically bleeding out. Their oil industry is being systematically dismantled by a blockade that the U.S. Treasury Secretary says is working beyond expectations. Their leadership is fractured and scared of their own population. They came to the table with an offer that America immediately rejected as bad faith. And the clock, 12 to 22 days on storage capacity, is not on their side. The question now is whether Iran breaks and comes back with something real, or whether Trump decides the blockade alone isn't enough and resumes military strikes. Either way, the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to determine how this ends.